What's this?
Oh, you can just put it somewhere else.
What's this? What's this?
Those are my, that's my,
What's
those
this?
are plants.
These are plants?
Yeah, I'm gonna grow them.
Okay. It's cold. Is the heat on?
I know. Yeah, the heat is on. It's at 62.
Feels like it's at 69. Dear Paul, thank you for your 4th order, my man. Smiley face. What are you baking back there, Hoss?
Sourdough cookies.
Bobby's hardcore on the sourdough cookies. Or on the sourdough goodies, I guess. You might have to explain to them how that works, because I don't even know. I hope you love the mystery bag. Heart. Signed, Devin, Niemela's jinky signature. Did you know we have signed 20,409 order notes? You know that? Every single order, actually, maybe at the beginning. Did we sign orders right from the beginning?
Yeah, we did.
Since day one. Since day one of this company, which I'm gonna go look at our very first order ever. First order ever. Guess who it was? Cameron Niemela.
Really? Oh.
July 13th, 2018. We had a total of 4 orders, one of them being my brother. Honey,
It's just cookie dough.
I don't have carbs in them. You have cookie dough on your nose.
It's probably my...
But anyways, every single order ever placed with this freaking company has been signed, which I find cool and intriguing. And if you've ever got an order that didn't have a signed note in it, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't think that's possible. If I'm being completely frank, probably ordered from a rep company. There's actually replicas of this freaking company, which is crazy. All right, you ready? Let's do her. Are you gonna help me?
If you want.
Hell yeah, brother. And if you guys are interested in a mystery bag from the mystery bag drop, we have, at the time of this recording, we have some smalls left, 2X and 4X. Jen, 3 orders. Ron, shout out to Ron Turlington for your first order. I appreciate you. Ron. Where are you from? Congress, Arizona. Are you watching this video? Hello. So yesterday we got the Evo back up on the lift. All of the doors are on, fully assembled. Brake lines are on, fuel lines are on, and then late last night we got our fuel tank powder coated. Now this guy went a very, very OEM looking, that ain't right, blackjack powder coat from Prismatic Powders. I absolutely love this color, and it turned out nearly picture perfect, you could say. So we need to go ahead and get this heat shielding reinstalled. I probably could have drilled the holes before I powder coated, but honestly, not a big deal, right? We'll be all right. I'm gonna rivet this piece back on. Factory, it was, what would you call it? Spot welded on, it appears, but rivets will do the trick. So I have here some 5/32 size rivets, and it utilizes a number 20 drill bit. Let's flip this guy over. Tank is drilled. Heat shield is drilled. Let's line her up and get her slapped on. Before I actually use the rivet, I'm gonna put all of them in place just to make sure it lines up perfectly. Now, like I said yesterday, man, I ain't no fuel tank expert, but if someone brought me this tank and said, is this nice or not? I would say, wow, that's immaculate. So now that all the heat shielding is done, there was a total of 3 shields, the one big main one that you guys saw, and then the corner ones. Now we need to go ahead and get all the modules in, and there's 5 of them. So we got the actual fuel tank here. That made no sense. Let's just put parts on. Okie dokie. So that guy goes there, a little vent piece. That guy goes there. Appears to be another vent. This piece, I don't know if it's some sort of ground or what this is, but fishes in there, sits like that. I decided to pull the parts back out. I'm gonna blow this thing out real quick. Even though it's completely masked off during sandblast and powder coat, of course, I don't want gunk in the motor. There. All right, now we need to sort through and find all of the nuts for all those pieces. So everything on the tank takes an M5, and all the M5 and M6 are in this pile right here. Okay, that should be all of them. If I could go back in time, I think I would have had that, and that all zinc plated to match the other goodies. But OEM works as well. So if you're assembling an Evo fuel tank and you're a little confused as far as how the nuts go, everything takes the same nut besides this. I would assume that's like a fuel temp sensor right there. It takes the taller 2 crowned nuts is what I would call it. Now if you have an Evo, you know these studs can break off pretty easy, so no need to go crazy tight on them. Just snug them up. Before we consider the fuel tank complete, let's get the fuel pump in. Before the fuel pump goes in, we need to install a good old Walbro 450 LPH fuel pump. Now, compared to some of the other builds, this ain't much. Usually we're running 2, sometimes 3 of these things, but for a nice, simple 500-600 wheel, this is all that's required, as long as it is hardwired. So, let's get her in. We do have to do some modifications on the hanger. But the first thing we need to do is put gloves on. All right, let's pop these lines off, get them out of the way. And now we need to go ahead and remove the pump itself from the hanger. So pop up these little plastic tabs. That guy comes off. Pump comes out. Happens to be a Walbro 255 in here. Nice. I was thinking it would be stock, but it ain't. You can see how freaking nasty this fuel is that's in here. So being that we do have to do some trimming on this, I like to take everything off. So this here is the fuel level sender, or the fuel float you could call it. And we got some seals down in here. Don't forget about those, because we're gonna need them. Okay, let's do a quick test fit of the Wally, the 450. So here it is compared to a 255. You can see it's quite a bit longer and whatnot. So it doesn't go in quite far enough. We're gonna do 2 simple mods to get this thing to fit properly. First mod, you see these barbs right here. We're gonna make a cut and lop off the top barb, leaving just the second barb on there. And then as far as the hanger goes, we're gonna be trimming this guy. I'll show you with a marker. Right there on the top of that clip, or on the whole thing. With those 2 simple mods, the Wally 450 should slide on in. I'm gonna use this box cutter for this, just so we don't fill the pump with plastic shavings. Alrighty, easy enough. This guy, we're definitely gonna have to use a cutoff wheel on. Okay, she's all trimmed up. I'm gonna go through, rinse this entire thing out with water, blow it out with compressed air, and we can assemble. As far as assembly goes, on the fuel pump, we're gonna take this O-ring, okay? It's gonna go down on there like so. And then this factory O-ring that goes into the pump, that guy goes on. Before I put this into the hanger, we need to wire it. So here is the factory connector. This side goes into the hanger. This side goes to the pump. We need the hanger side and not the pump side. So go ahead and clip that off on this guy here. Clip it off up top. Trim back all of the wiring like so. And we need to connect the black, all three blacks together, and then the red and the blue are gonna go together. Black ground, red, and blue are power. All right, this guy's ready to go back in. Feed the wiring through, make sure your seals are on. Okay, let's get this little sock filter installed. Hopefully it's not too thick. Let's do a quick test fit. Looks like it should fit. This retainer clip's always a pain, no matter what, with the Walbro 450, but let's make it work. Okay, so we got the filter on with the retainer clip. Now this guy is gonna hold everything together. Now it's quite impossible to get all three clips back on. I've never been able to. So if you can get two on, it should be good. Now from here, you need to use some zip ties to make sure this thing don't fly off. Under fuel pressure, 70, 80 PSI, whatever this thing's gonna make under full, wide open throttle. We do not want this pump blowing out. Last thing to install is this fuel level. She simply just clips in like so. And all complete, this is how your pump should look if you're doing a Walbro 450 and an Evo 9 hanger. So for all of the little wiring and fuel line clips, to attach them back to the fuel tank, I'm gonna be using some of this 2-part urethane structural adhesive. You ain't gonna need much, just a little dab where each of them sit. Factory, they're double side taped on, but this is gonna do the trick just fine. Okay. 2 gray ones go up here for the fuel line. All the black ones go down here, and these are for the fuel tank or the fuel pump wiring harness. Put all these pads back on where they belong. Not really sure the point of these, but OEM plus. Took a photo of it before, so I know exactly where they go. There's that. Let's let all this stuff cure up fully, and we can get the wiring on. Now the great thing about this tank is I know, like for a next build, I know what I can do better on. I know stuff like this can be rezinced. I know that fuel line should have definitely been rezinced. Things of the sort. Is it nice? It's very, very nice. Could it be better? Marginally. So before the fuel tank can go in, our e-brake cables need to be installed. So let's see if I can remember how these things go. Maybe it says, because I think they're different. At least just the rubber boot on the end is gonna be different. Okay, so this one goes on this side. Both brake cables are fully installed with the new zinc plated bolts and hardware and all that good stuff. So it looks mighty fine. I meant bolts and brackets, not bolts and hardware. Let's go ahead and slap the fuel tank up in here. First major big piece going in. So the wiring has got to go through first. And then hoist this girl up. Man, that looks bad ass. With all the new zinc hardware everywhere, fresh powder on the tank. This thing's turning out to be a pretty neat little build. I need your guys' help. So obviously the car's yellow, if you can't tell. And I'm trying to figure out, because I need to get the powder coat ordered, what color to do for, I guess you'd call it the accent color. This car's most likely going to get a set of pretty neutral color wheels, most likely like a dark gray or a black. I would do white, but this yellow is a pretty bright yellow, so I feel like white would be, that's like too much light colors going on, I guess you could say. I just think a dark color wheel is going to look a whole lot better on it. And with that being said, I know factory, of course, the accent color, meaning the color on like the Brembos and the valve cover, that kind of stuff, is red, right? I don't know if red would look fine or good, I guess you could say, on the lightning yellow. So I'm debating doing, I have no idea. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. The brakes, we're doing a power brace, so that as well. The valve cover, maybe like the strut tower bar in the bay as well. I might do that the factory gray. Haven't decided yet there. That kind of stuff. Comment below. I need your help because I need to get this powder ordered. That is going to come sooner than we expect. I mean, it ain't going to ever come if I keep sitting here just babbling, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think would be titties on those products. I think the rest of the night is probably going to be spent building some axles. The oven's already warm. I got all warmed up earlier today, and the axle shafts themselves are sandblasted, ready to go. If you guys didn't see yesterday's video, I decided to get the hub sections of the CV axles zinc plated. So these things turned out absolutely amazing. Imagine just like seeing this underneath the car, if you could see it while it's driving, even though you can't. So I don't know why I am so hyped on it. But anyways, imagine it like cruising down the road with a matte black CV shaft with these gold or yellow zinc plated hub sections of the axle. That's pretty baller. So let's go ahead and get the axle shafts powder coated. If there's more space on the rack, I'll probably toss some other goodies on there as well. They're going to go blackjack, of course, from Prismatic Powders. I should probably order more of that as well because I'm going to run out. It's the best, by far the best color I found for an OEM type of restoration. Axle shafts are always a little bit weird to hang on the rack, but over the years, I guess you could say, I figured out a pretty solid way. And I'm not going to lie. I thought these things were sandblasted, ready to go. That's BS. I ain't gonna change the powder or the sand out in the blaster right now. We have the glass bead in there for all the aluminum parts. So let's go ahead and knock out some other goodies that we're gonna need for the rear end anyway. So this is, I think you would call this, if you're an Evo guy, a mustache bar. It's what the rear diff mounts to. And then we have these side mounts for the rear diff as well. Interestingly enough, if I'm not mistaken, these things come from the factory with no sort of coating. So they get super, super rusty. Let's go ahead and get these things forgetting how to talk. Let's get them on the rack in the oven and get these things powder coated. If we could get the rear diff in, that'd be sick. I'm not so sure if I need to put the rear subframe in or not. I would powder coat it, but it's actually an aluminum rear subframe, and that needs to be glass beaded and then clear coated so it looks mint, because it's supposed to stay silver. Now with these parts here, there is bushings that go in here and in here. That needs to be masked off, otherwise it's going to be a straight pain in the butt to get those bushings back in. And I do have a pretty good thought on how to get those bushings in quickly. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'll give it a shot. That would be sweet if my idea works. If you guys have been watching the channel for any length of time, you know what I'm going to try. Get these surfaces cleaned up with some IPA, and then put some tape on it. I've questioned a couple times throughout the build if there's going to be like a future build where I can up it a notch, and I'm taking mental notes on everything that if I was to do this exact build again, everything that I would change. For example, if I was to do this again, I think I'd probably have these things zinc plated. I know from the factory, like I said, they're just bare, but zinc would be cool. There's a giant piece, it's a heat shield that I had zinc plated that goes underneath, and I'm excited to get that on. I'll probably put that on as these are in the oven just to see how cool it looks. Redo. So Bobby and I are going to Barrett-Jackson. It's at the end of next month, so I think January 25th. Her father, good old Bob, built a Mustang that he's gonna run through the auction. So that'll be pretty interesting and cool to witness. And I'm excited. We went last year, and at first I thought it was just a show for old people, which kind of is, if I'm being honest, but it's pretty badass. There was some cool stuff there. There was a Mark IV Supra, of course a lot of Lambos and stuff, a lot of old cars. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we're going again. And I rented a pretty cool car while we're down there. Last year we got a C8, and that was actually pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. It impressed me. But this year, I got something that I will enjoy more. I kind of use Turo and like traveling and rentals as a test. Like, would I ever want this car or want to buy this car in the future? So that's kind of what this year's rental is all about. I'm curious if any of you guys are going to Barrett-Jackson. Maybe I'll do a little meetup or something down there. Oh, and by the way, it's in Arizona. I think they have multiple different locations, but we're doing the Arizona one. The smallest stuff on these cars, on these builds, takes the longest. Like just powder coating these 3 pieces here. Say if you include sandblast, all the masking, and then powder coat, with the amount of time it takes to heat up that oven, it's like if you don't plan ahead, it's pretty much an all-day thing. Like if you don't plan, like, okay, get there early in the morning, get the oven turned on, it takes hours to heat up. It does turn into an all-day thing, which is absurd. This frickin' pressure washer, man. I'm just gonna throw this out there just in case anyone watching apparently knows how to, or I guess I should say by chance knows how to work on pressure washers. I have a Static Comet 1700, I believe it's called. It's a pretty spendy, like wall-mounted pressure washer. It's like $1,200, but it'll a couple different things. As you guys just heard, if I'm sitting here and the pressure washer's on, it'll randomly start trying to build pressure. And then when you're pressure washing, it'll just shut off automatically. Like it won't trip the breaker or anything, but it just will stop building pressure. And then you gotta let it sit for like 5 minutes, and then you can go pressure washing again. So if you happen to own a pressure washer rebuild company, hit me up. I would love to get that thing rebuilt because I'm too cheap to buy a new one. Alrighty, we're all masked up. Let's go ahead and get them hanging and in the oven. I wish I had something else to powder coat to toss on right now. Everything else is freaking massive. Sway bars, power brakes, front subframe. Ain't none of that gonna fit. So the piece that I had zinced that I thought would look pretty neat installed is this guy. If I could remember where bolts. Am I dumb? Where does this, well, it would look really cool, but apparently my holes went missing. Aha. Okay, so I need a bolt there, bolt there. What do you guys think? Is that pretty neat? Is that pretty snazzy? Okay, let's blow these things off and slap down some powder. Get our little grounding clip on. Ooh, that's a lot. There we go. The thing with these parts I just put in the oven, or not just, it's been over an hour, is they are so thick. They take an extremely long time to heat up. So that's why whenever you're powder coating, you want to go off part metal temp. So they've been in here for an hour and a half and they're at 366. Now this powder, if I'm not mistaken, needs to cure at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. And of course, the longer it takes to heat up, the longer it takes to cool down. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm not so sure that we will be installing those pieces tonight. I mean, if I skip the gym again, I could, but what the heck? I ain't gonna do that though. So let's mess around on the body a little bit. A couple more little pieces I want to install. I don't know what I did wrong with this door handle, but it's not opening from the outside. So one of these days we'll have to pop the door panel back off and figure that out. But I want to install these. Now is that just me, or is that supposed to go around the whole perimeter? That don't seem right. So either these are aftermarket, or the ones on the Electric Blue 9 are aftermarket, or 8s and 9s are different. I'll show you why here in a sec. Very, very intriguing, because I went to look on the 9, and they're different. But according to Mitsubishi, it's the same part number. So, color me impressed. Color me confused, I guess I could say. So here's how these ones look on the 8. Okay. Now on the Evo 9, here's how these ones look. There's like this extra little padding or seal. Super interesting. 406. 2 hours later, our parts finally reached temp. So that also means it's gonna take 2 hours for them to cool down. 7:44 p.m. Do we sit here and twiddle our pickle for 2 hours, or do we go work out? Of course we're Of course we're absolutely gonna go to the gym. I ain't even gonna lie though. I'm gonna be completely frank. I ain't feeling so hot. I think it's all the powder coating, honestly. And obviously powder coating itself isn't that toxic, and I'm very, very, very good about wearing a mask every time I powder coat these days. But I think the fact that we're powder coating just in the shop in general, and then the powder is just floating around in the air for a very long time. Like if I go blow my nose right now, black will 100% come out, even though I wear a mask while powder coating. So hopefully one of these days I can figure out some good solid way to build some sort of powder coat booth. I know my buddy built one himself and it seems to work pretty good. Put a fan in the back and it kind of just holds all the powder in that booth itself. Because I had a lot of stuff to powder coat today. I didn't show you guys 90% of it, but there's two sets of wheels, so 8 wheels total. And then we did that mustache bar and the rear diff mounts. It was a lot. I was powder coating all freaking day. So yeah, I think that's definitely on the agenda. Sooner than later, build a nice, maybe like a rolling type of deal for a powder coat booth. That'd be sick.